Have you ever repeatedly played a situation in your head, thinking of all the ways you could have prevented a mistake or created a different outcome? This obsessive behavior towards our mistakes is called rumination, and it hurts us more than it can truly help. Overthinking past events puts focus on the difference between reality and ideal. It highlights deficiencies in oneself, creating a negative feedback loop that often leads to anxiety and depression. The cycle of rumination is agonizing and difficult to break. Nevertheless, not all hope is lost. Alice Boyes provides us with some simple tips to break out of this rut. 1. Identify your most common triggers. The first step to changing a behavior is acknowledging it. We must recognize if we are in the pits of rumination to better strategize how we can break out of it. While this requires a high level of self-awareness, another way to overcome it is to understand its common triggers to find ways for prevention. Heavy ruminators are said to have dominant trigger patterns of blaming oneself or blaming others. The more we understand the most common triggers of these cycles of overthinking, the more we can resolve its underlying issues. 2. Get psychological distance. While we are in the pit of rumination, the repeating obsessive behavior can make us feel out of control in a deep spiral. This requires psychological tactics of distancing over what we are obsessing about. In other words, we need to cut the power by which these have taken over our thoughts, and we can do this by simply labeling our thoughts and feelings. Articulation is a simple trick that allows us to distinguish truth from irrationality. It creates space for our brain to do a reality check. 3. Distinguish between ruminating and problem solving. There is a fine line between evaluating a situation in the hopes of finding a solution and the obsessive nature of ruminating. The more we replay the situation in our minds with a self-critical point of view, the less likely we can solve the problem. It's not because there were no useful insights discovered. Rather, it's the misplaced fixation on the error that makes rumination unproductive. One needs to shift his or her mindset into a problem-solving and action-oriented mentality to break the chains of rumination. 4. Train your brain to be nonstick. Our minds can be so powerful that ruminating can lead them to dark circles. On the other hand, we can train our minds to refocus and recalibrate. An easy way to do this is through distractions. This can be anything that forces your mind to concentrate on something else and bring you back to the present. Yoga and meditation are effective ways to help you disengage from negative thoughts and focus on your current senses. Tuning into present realities is a great way to manage tendencies for rumination. 5. Check your thinking for errors. As we achieve a better sense of control over our thoughts, it is crucial to detect any cognitive errors that cloud our thinking. Be honest with your biases and prejudices. Recognition of our common thinking errors can help us step back from our predispositions and recalibrate our thoughts. Rumination is such a difficult problem because you are challenging your own mind. You try to resist your own tendencies to spiral down a negative cycle by flexing emotional and psychological maturity. A high level of self-awareness and self-control empowers you to refocus towards a more productive and problem-solving attitude. How will you develop your mind to resist your own tendencies?